All right, we will go ahead and get started here. So, first of all, welcome to today's web event with Wendt Partners and HubSpot. I'm Doug Wendt, the president and CEO of Wendt Partners, and I'm looking forward to today's session. We'll make sure that we have time at the end for questions. But in addition, if you have a question that pops up during the event, just use the Q&A button down in the center of your Zoom screen. This is a Zoom webinar. So down at the bottom of your screen, you got a series of icons. One of the middle icons has two little bubbles that says Q&A. You can just click on that. That way, by taking that approach and typing your question there, if I have a chance to answer the question actually during the presentation, during my conversation, I'll do it. If not, it'll queue it up for me to answer it later and make sure that we get to your insights. And I think this is the kind of event and topic where we're going to have lots of things to talk about and therefore hopefully lots of questions. Our topic today is customizing, integrating, and scaling HubSpot's CRM, HubSpot customer relationship management software in your B2B enterprise. I also want to mention, I know some of you were really looking forward to seeing my guests, my colleagues, Anya and Ariadna from our team. Unfortunately, due to illness and in one case, changed travel schedules, neither of those awesome and amazing individuals will be here. So it's just going to be me, which I guess is a good test because you get to see, does the CEO of the company actually know anything about the technology that we're talking about? I'm really excited to give you a very hearty answer to that question of yes today. So looking forward to digging in. In order to do that, I'm going to walk through three sort of key themes, if you will, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 during today's program. The first theme is what is HubSpot? And when we talk about scaling a CRM platform, what do we mean? I'm actually going to be talking about product versus platform and getting everyone sort of on the same page about that. The second theme is going to be how we can customize HubSpot. And for that, I'm actually going to bring up a real world use case that we recently created to demonstrate to a potential client. I've scrubbed the critical information, obviously specific to the client. So it's a generic demo, but it'll really give you, at least in one example, a really deep insight into really how far we can push HubSpot. And then third, I'm going to talk about and showcase some of the tools and capabilities that allow us to take HubSpot and make it part of the overall enterprise environment. Okay, so we're going to start with what is HubSpot from a platform perspective, then dive into a real world use case, then look at the technology and tools that make it possible. In order to do that, I think it's really important that I make a distinction here. We tend to talk about, excuse me, these kinds of products as a piece of software, as a product, as a tool, right? And it is. It's certainly a product. You buy it, you pay for it. It's a product. But what I would want to suggest, propose, is that we should switch our framework from thinking of it as a product that you install. Like, here's the thing, obviously we don't physically open the box today. I'm old enough to remember when you opened the box and you had the stack of 3.5-inch floppies, or if we really want to go back to 5.25-inch floppies. Okay. I remember when this was a physical thing. And by the way, there's an Easter egg hidden inside HubSpot that I'll point out to you all a little later that will make you chuckle for those of you who remember the diskette days. Okay. So it was physically, this kind of technology was physically a product. You got it, you installed it, and that was your thing. Okay. I want you to think of this as a platform. And in order to explain that, I'm going to walk through really the remarkable evolution of what HubSpot has become. So we're going to start that journey in a very simple spot at www.hubspot.com. So it's going to be very easy for you to then reference this, follow up to the program. By the way, as a reminder, we share the recording of this program for you as an attendee or anyone who registered. You'll get it within days. And then in about a week, week and a half, we will publish the edited final version on YouTube as well. So let me talk about and showcase what HubSpot is and why I call it a platform. In order to do that, I'll first describe like what is this kind of product. And I'll reference some of the other tools that other competitors that are in this ecosystem. Most notably, pretty much two. You can generally think of HubSpot competing in a marketplace where our solution, the HubSpot solution, and two other main brands pretty much dominate the business to business world. And that is HubSpot, of course, Salesforce.com, and Microsoft's CRM solution, part of their Microsoft 365. Dynamics Business Central, if you know anything about Microsoft, you know that every week they add a new word to the title of a product. So by the end of this year, it'll be about 100 words long, but you get the idea. Salesforce, Microsoft, HubSpot. That's pretty much the triangle. Those three companies collectively represent just shy of 50% of the marketplace. Okay. And then we have hundreds of other solutions, some of them targeted at specific industries. For example, if you run a small residential real estate firm, there are companies that just develop CRM for the real estate industry. And another common scenario is maybe you have an ERP system. Okay. For those who don't know what ERP is, it is taking accounting software to the next level. So small businesses, I think it's 86% of all small businesses in the United States run on a QuickBooks product from Intuit. Once you scale out of those products, the category of software we're talking about from there is ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, which includes accounting but adds all of the other functions necessary to run the back end of your enterprise. For example, if you are a manufacturing company, you would have your inventory of your products. You would maintain in your ERP system. Your manufacturing job planning and capacity would be in there. Anything associated with producing and delivering a product. In a services company, your ERP system is where you would track projects, assigned personnel, time and materials. Are we on budget, off budget, and so forth. So you can generally think of business applications in two sides of the enterprise, the front end and the back end. The front end is everything, or the front office, as HubSpot says. The front office is everything that faces the customer, and the back office is everything necessary to deliver what the customer is buying. That's a simple way to look at it, right? And make sure that the company is making money. It's also kind of important. So front office, back office. There are software companies that try to do all of that, right? If you work in a larger enterprise and you work with, let's say, a product called SAP or Oracle applications, these are companies that offer a module for every feature and every function. What you tend to find when you look at those kinds of companies is they can't be equally good at all things at once. And so there becomes and this is a constant debate in the enterprise IT industry. Do we go single vendor, single solution, or do we go the route of what most people would call best in class, where you choose individual products from individual companies that are the best at what they do? Okay. So for example, our website would be in this platform because it's the best content management platform for our industry. Our commerce tools would be in this because it's the best commerce tool. And you would go through the entire enterprise. There are pluses and minuses to both approaches. Okay. But again, on a continuum, you have these two extremes. One extreme is I want one vendor to provide all of our enterprise applications. And the other end of the spectrum, the other extreme is I will select and choose the best in class vendor for each individual function, and then I will tie them together in an integrated whole. Obviously, just describing that, you can see where the balance of responsibility is, right? The more vendors involved, the more responsibility sits on the client's shoulders because they have to weave all that together, okay? Now, in that world, HubSpot presents a third way, and that is to narrow your tech stack down, not to one single vendor solution, okay, but also not go to the other extreme of trying to have best in class for every single piece of the equation. In the case of HubSpot, what we are offering to middle market and larger enterprises is the opportunity to find a middle way, okay, the via media. And the middle way here is one core solution for your back office operations and one core solution for your front office operations. And you marry those two together. And your idea is that back office technology and business process is its own fundamental beast. And I came from back office technology. I've walked hundreds of factory floors, implementing and consulting on back office systems, primarily in the manufacturing industry. So I've walked that walk, and I know that the software developers and the solution architects who are designing software for how to manage production and inventory control, that's a completely different hat than the customer-facing operation of the company. So in my experience, a two core vendor solution brings you the best balance of the two. Generally speaking, we find that clients trying for one extreme or the other get dissatisfied and they reopen the discussion. And that's where HubSpot fits in the enterprise model. Now, in order to discuss that further, we have to discuss what is HubSpot. And when we say front office applications, what are we talking about? And it's important to keep in mind, this is why I'm calling HubSpot a platform. There are actually 6 products here. Now, we call them hubs, okay? And later I'm going to give some explanation of why the way that we build these products, the way HubSpot builds these products is unique. But for the purposes of getting started in this conversation, and by the way, I appreciate I'm seeing some questions popping up. Keep those questions coming, and I'll hit and answer them either just dynamically, or I'll pause and make sure to address them. So HubSpot was originally a single product, what we now call Marketing Hub. 15 years ago, HubSpot was founded as a marketing software company. And in that case, you would choose HubSpot for your marketing. And as one person pointed out in a question, you choose maybe Salesforce for your sales, maybe Zendesk for your service operations, WordPress for your content management system, right? Lots of different potential products for operations. We'll get back to that. And let's say WooCommerce for your commerce tool. Okay. Recognizing that just trying to solve front office needs with 6 different pieces of software is one of those things that is almost impossible to do well, right? That's the trouble with the best of breed approach or best in class. You end up trying to integrate and connect 30 different solutions, right? I mean, we've got 6 here just for front office, and a lot of companies' back office operations are double the technological complexity of front office. So conservatively, we're at 12 to 18 different products, okay? That's just way too much. So how can we build a platform that covers a critical scope of your business holistically without you feeling like you're missing any core capabilities that you need? That's what HubSpot has been focusing on as a company. And so today, when we talk about HubSpot, we refer to it as a CRM platform upon which there are 6 specific hubs, each focused on a certain functional requirement of your company. Marketing, obviously, for lead generation, lead nurturing, and communications. Sales, right, which we often interchange the words CRM and sales. So most of the time when people say they're looking for a CRM system, they're looking for a sales CRM platform or a sales CRM tool. So that's Sales Hub. Service, which is often referred to as help desk software or service management software. Okay, so that is ticketing and customer service operations and customer portal and tracking trends and assigning questions or needs, different priorities to different personnel, help desk operations and everything associated with that, knowledge base, etc. So marketing, sales, and service, we typically think of those as the 3 critical pillars of a successful front office operation, right? If I can communicate with, nurture, and acquire prospects, if I can then successfully sell to them, and then I can successfully service them, now I've got a complete process for creating a successful customer experience or customer journey. Then in order to make that possible, there are 3 unique kinds of technology that we also need at the table. One is content management. Okay, content management, we traditionally think that as the engine that runs your website. It is actually potentially a lot more than that. For example, a customer portal is running on a content management system. Okay, so I just want to plant that seed because in the HubSpot view, we look at content management or CMS Hub as not just your website. Any web application or web service that we want to deliver to customers can be built on that tool. Operations, which is how do we manage the data, make sure it's consistent? How do we connect HubSpot to other tools? How do we ensure that if we have a data warehouse or data lake? So now I'm getting into the IT side of the front office experience. And then commerce, which I think we all have a sense of what that means. It may refer to more sales and human mediated commerce, creating quotes, payments, and so forth, or e-commerce and self-serve, or a hybrid of those. Now we're talking about end-to-end, all of the requirements of your front office operations or front of the house or front of the business, the customer-facing side. That's HubSpot. So HubSpot today is a platform. And it's really important to think about it that way, because one other reason I say platform versus product is a platform is a tool that you can configure to your business requirements. Okay. Now, you can take HubSpot right out of the box. And I'm actually going to start by showing you some out of the box elements of HubSpot because I want to start there. You could literally take HubSpot out of the box, okay, the virtual box, and start using it. Or you can take HubSpot and you can configure and customize it to your specific use case. And I'll talk about, use case. That's kind of IT terminology here. So I'll describe a little bit what I mean by that when I show you an example here in a few minutes. We're going to walk through an actual real world example here in just a moment that really shows how quickly these front end processes can get very complicated. And that's a good thing to talk about because everybody's business is complex in its own way. Okay. By the way, one specific question that I know popped up that I wanted to address. Someone asked if I've used Salesforce, and I wanted to use HubSpot. Would I need to keep Salesforce? So there are two scenarios. We still have a lot of customers who use HubSpot just for marketing because you can buy these hubs individually, and they may want to continue using their Salesforce.com for their CRM, their sales, right? So basically, in these swim lanes, HubSpot would be one swim lane, Salesforce would be another. That is a very common scenario. We have lots of customers doing that. So you could do that. Okay. And we have a very robust toolkit to support that. That said, increasingly, what we're seeing is customers saying, what I really want to do is standardize on one platform. There's that word platform. Can HubSpot be that platform? If I standardize the front office operations of my business on HubSpot, do I need Salesforce? The answer is no. So depending on what you want to do, either way, you have options and you're in good shape. So let's dive into HubSpot and look at some of the things that are important to be aware of when we look at a tool like this. And we're literally looking at Wendt Partners HubSpot account. I live in HubSpot every day. So this is my world. So welcome to my world. This is my contact record as well. So we're looking at a contact record. When you think of these kinds of tools, everything begins pretty much with companies and contacts. We call those objects in our database. And you can see here, there's a lot that I can view. I can, by the way, I can make it less to look at. So there's a lot of configurability here. Some of our customers, they want everything. They want like the mega screen. I want to see all the information in one spot. I never want to have to click or open or close or use tabs. Give it all to me. We can do that. Other customers want to see just the things that are most relevant to their use case. We can do that too. Yet other customers have different teams with different needs. And some teams need to see the screen this way, and some need to see it that way. Guess what? We can do that as well. So to introduce you to what you're seeing here, and those of you who are already HubSpot users, you'll recognize this. In a traditional HubSpot screen design, you have a left column with all the fields, okay, all the properties of this record, because we're looking at a specific record. In the middle, we have a number of things, but the thing that most people spend their time on is this activities. That is essentially your Facebook timeline, if you will. This is your timeline view of all the activities of communications. And you can see here, it can be extremely extensive. So, I mean, just take a look at this for a moment. This is all information that in our HubSpot database automatically shows up on this record. No human intervention required. Calls, conversations, emails, LinkedIn communications. If I log it, postal mail, SMS messages. For those who are scratching their heads, that's text messages. I don't know why they came up with a separate techie word for it, but the IT folks are chuckling. They always got to come up with their own word. So to the rest of the world, it's text messages. To the IT folks, it's SMS. For those of you who have spent time on WhatsApp messages, meetings, notes, and tasks. Then all of this activity that has to do with marketing, right? If I click on an ad, if I click on a call to action, if I engage with a marketing email, if I provide a feedback form from the service hub, okay? If I fill out a form and submit it, if I view a website or portal page, if I view a sales document, and then we have all these other pieces of information under updates. Hey, we updated an invoice. We updated a deal. Doug's information updated in a sequence. And over here, all these integrations. Okay, so this gives you a sense of our tech stack. We use DocuSign for our contracts. DocuSign has a native integration with HubSpot. We use Ring Central. We use Vidyard for some of our videos and so forth and so on. So this is all stuff that is essentially out of the box. The integrations and some of the other things vary on what edition of HubSpot you have, and obviously if you're using those other tools. But this is a very standard sort of world or standard experience of a HubSpot customer. What we additionally offer is things like custom data and custom fields and custom objects, and we can actually create specialized reports or views. And we also can customize what related records are provided in here. Okay, so very simple, but also very powerful. Now let's take an actual real world example, okay, and kind of dig into that for a moment. So some of you may know that Wendt Partners specializes in B2B, but within that, we've become really recognized as technical and industrial enterprise experts. So we serve the full range of B2B organizations, but in addition, not a lot of people understand the world of manufacturing, distribution, transportation, and logistics. We do, so that's become a real area of domain expertise and domain focus for us. And this is a genericized or redacted version of a presentation that we gave to a prospective client last year. And the first thing that I want to focus on is what it takes to take this really powerful out-of-the-box product that I've just been sharing a little bit of and zero in on how we would then take that and make it your enterprise solution. Okay. And there are 3 steps or 3 components to do that. The first is designing how we want HubSpot to work for you. I often say to the client that if we've done our job right, by the end of the implementation, you've almost forgotten that the tool involved here is called HubSpot. Like, we don't need you to remember it's HubSpot. What we need you to do is essentially forget that it's HubSpot and just know that you now have the best possible, most well-created or designed solution for your company. Okay, that's the transformation we want. When you're buying it, obviously, it's HubSpot. That's what's on the contract. When you're done with the implementation, all the users need to know is that it's your solution and it works the way they need it to work. So that's design. Depth is taking that solution and extending it to all the other connections and components that we need. And then the third thing is delivery of the solution, right? We can have all the design and depth we want. If we don't deliver it well, obviously we're not going to get to our goal. So when we plan an enterprise implementation, we focus on design, depth, and delivery. So let's talk about an actual scenario here. And I'm going to take a scenario from a project-driven technical company. So this might be a construction contractor. It could be a company that makes industrial equipment like power generation products. Any of those kinds of businesses. They need a CRM platform that is configured and customized to their world. What is their world? They have projects. They have sites for those projects. They have general contractors and subcontractors. They have reps and distributors. They have bids and orders. This is a lot of stuff. Okay. This is not the world of, hey, did you like the widget on our website? Click here and buy the widget, deal 1. That is not the world we're in. In this world, there are 100 steps, 50, 500 moving parts and 50 different stakeholders involved. How can a tool like HubSpot handle that? Now, you don't have to be anyone who's got any connection to this world in order to extrapolate. If HubSpot can handle this, it can probably handle my world. So just keep that in mind. Don't over worry about, gee, I don't work in an industrial company. Does that mean it's relevant to me? Not the language, not the specific use case. You may not be project driven, but the point is, think about your business as we go through this and think about the complexity of your industry and your unique challenges. If HubSpot can be configured to do this, I'm telling you, it can be configured to do what you need. So in this example, we're actually going to talk about a real world. Now, this is fictional, but it's based on the real world. So let's pretend our friends at Amazon are commissioning construction of a new data center. And they are doing this project with 2 sites in Ashburn, Virginia. Those of you who know the greater Washington, D.C. region know that that's literally a huge data center area. It's in the Northern Virginia Tech Corridor. And there are different product and service lines and different requirements for each of these sites. So we've got two different sites here that are under one contract that's going to be put out to bid. If you know anything about the construction industry, or even if you don't, think about a complex decision process. Here in this world, what typically happens is a general contractor will put together a bid. And in that process, they will assemble their team of other subcontractors, suppliers, and partners. Everyone is going to be involved in the project. And then they will present their bid. And in this case, these are real world companies. Again, the example's fictional, but I tried to make it as real world as possible. So we've got 3 real world companies that actually do these kinds of projects in the Washington, D.C. region: Clark Construction, Whiting Turner, and Gilbane. Now, in order for our company, in this example, let's pretend that our company is providing products. Okay, so we are providing products that are essentially going to go into the data center operations. They might be racks, they might be power management, they might be security. Doesn't matter what the kinds of products are. These are common companies that often provide the technology. So when you turn on your iPhone and you go to Safari and you pull up a website, all of that is made possible by and large by Amazon Web Services data centers. Those data centers, you open them up, the physical technology is coming from these companies. These are the kinds of companies that are literally powering the internet as we know it. Okay. By the way, just a quick side note, little irony here. HubSpot itself runs on Amazon Web Services, or AWS as folks call it. So this could just as well be my HubSpot account sitting in this data center running on AWS. Okay. Now here's where we get to the rub. This is, again, fictional, but very, very, very real world. We have Clark Construction, the prime contractor. Then we have subcontractors for different parts of the project. Then under that, depending on which subcontractor has certain parts, they have different reps and distributors they might call upon for different products. Okay. This is all associated with one sales opportunity. So again, I brought a use case here that is very complex to try to demonstrate how far we can push the envelope of HubSpot's capabilities. Okay. Then we have a different list for Gilbane and yet a different list for Whiting Turner. So before we've even started working on the deal, I've got about 50 different companies in here. Okay. This is not, I have one company, I'm selling them one product. This is, I have 50 different companies being assembled in different combinations. And those of you who might have been really paying attention to the slides, some of these slides you'll see, a particular rep or distributor might be listed on 2 of the 3 slides because they often do work with different subcontractors. So there's a lot of matrixing going on here. So now, if I were a company in this industry, why would I try to utilize the HubSpot CRM platform? Okay. What would be my goals, my business objectives? And this is where I want to go back and take a moment and explain what is a use case. Because those of us in the technology world tend to use this technology and this terminology, and we assume everyone knows what we're talking about. The most challenging part of the journey between saying that we need a new piece of technology or a piece of software for our business and getting to success with that tool or that platform is actually making the mistake of thinking that the sales process, what you as a customer would call the selection process, is all about the vendors. We're going to look at 10 vendors. We're going to narrow it down to 3. Those are our finalists. We're going to come in and have them give a demo. They're going to fill out a checklist with 1,000 things, and we're going to then select the solution. That's all necessary. It's all important. It all needs to be done. 100% agree that those are important components, but here's what's missing. What's missing is mapping out your business processes. What's missing is understanding realistically and precisely how you want this thing to work. Okay. That it can do the thing you need is not answering the same question as can we configure it to do things we need the way we want them to be done best? And most of the time, clients don't have an answer to the second question. You've done business the way you've done it because it's organically developed and because Frank in operations told you it's simpler to do it that way. And Janine put together, an Excel spreadsheet and she mastered that thing. And so you're not going to mess with that. Organizations are organic and they build processes through each person's, participation. Totally understandable. But when you come to the world of selecting business applications, business platforms, business software, the most important thinking is not the selection of the vendor. It is thinking about how you want this thing to work in your enterprise. The more you communicate that to us, the more we can configure the solution to you. Okay. So this list of things actually came out of a real world discussion with a client where we started to organize what really we were trying to do. And here were the things they wanted to be able to identify a project when it is announced, determine partly through automation and partly through human engagement what products or solutions are applicable to each project and site, track which general contractors were preparing bids and for which sites, ensure that they were likely to be included on any winning bid, and then obviously all the other work to support that, strengthening their rep and distributor relationship, tracking bid progress, charting multiple pathways to success, and ensuring overall that this particular company is going to have success no matter what the outcome. That's a lot of moving parts to think about. But by understanding that these are the business goals, now we can start to prioritize things. So let's actually take a look at how we might design a HubSpot solution to address that. Okay. And the first thing that you'll see here, we're back in HubSpot. Now I'm actually in a demo account now that we've built that we use for these presentations. And one thing you'll notice over here on the right, I've got all the different functionality of HubSpot. Now I'm going to pause here because remember back at the beginning, I said HubSpot is a platform and it has these 6 hubs. I'm going to take a moment, like almost a moment of silence. The way HubSpot has done this is not the way anybody else does it. And I've told hundreds of clients that this is the most important thing to understand about business software. This industry is not driven by engineering and building the best solution for the customer. It is financially driven by buying other people's stuff and relabeling it as something for you to buy. Our largest competitor, the Blue Cloud folks over at Salesforce, have done this in spades. They've literally bought 72 different companies over the last 20 years. Okay. And if you ask a lot of Salesforce customers, I know because they come over and they migrate to HubSpot. Even today, if you buy their marketing tool, their sales tool, and their service tool, they're really 3 different products that were developed by 3 different companies. All they did really was just reskin them with a logo. I mean, it's a little bit more work than that, but not much. Think about it. If you ran a software company, where would you rather spend money to become more profitable? Re-engineering products that you've already spent a lot of money to buy, or acquiring new markets, or acquiring the next company, or acquiring the next customer? I can tell you it's not going to go into product engineering. In contrast, HubSpot has made a strategic decision that 100% of what you get comes from HubSpot's developed code. HubSpot, by contrast, in 15 years, so we're not quite as old as Salesforce, okay, in 15 years has acquired 9 companies, and 0 of that technology has been relabeled and presented to the market as HubSpot's own. 0. On the rare occasion HubSpot does buy someone else's technology, they strip it down to the core, re-engineer it, and rebuild it in the HubSpot platform natively. So when I say these hubs, Marketing Hub, Sales Hub, Service Hub, etc., in reality, they're just additional screens in one piece of software. Literally, it's one piece of software. I could just stop the web event right there and send you on your way, and I've probably given you the single most useful piece of advice today. When you buy any piece of business software, make sure you know the history of that software. Who actually coded it? Who actually developed it? Was it developed by the people you're buying it from, or was it coded 3 acquisitions back by somebody who nobody even can find anymore? Because believe me, those gremlins are going to pop up in your near future. HubSpot, is not a perfect product. It's not a perfect company. No vendor is. But the reason we are a HubSpot partner, at the end of the day, boils down to that. One product, one platform. See, remember we started the conversation talking about, do I want best of breed where I select 100 different things and try to weave them together? Or do I go single vendor? Okay. Our competitors claim that you get a single vendor solution. You're not. You're getting a single salesperson solution. You can buy all that stuff from one store, the Salesforce store, and to a large degree, the Microsoft store. They do the same thing. Okay. But you're not actually getting one thing. At HubSpot, you are getting one thing. And I'm about to show you why that's so important. So when you start customizing your platform, okay, you're able to customize it across these functions. So whether I'm pulling tickets from service, whether I'm pulling deals from sales, whether I'm pulling marketing activity from the marketing module, doesn't matter. It's all in one database. It all works exactly the same way. So in this case, we have this is a custom example. So we're looking at a deal record for one of the 3 bidders on this project. And you'll notice we've done a whole bunch of custom things here. We've set up a bid record. Okay. So we can look at the bids separately from the general contractor. Okay. And in this particular case, this example shows what it would be like to integrate with an ERP system called Epicor, which is one of the top 5 largest ERP vendors in the world. And so over here, we have it related to our Epicor project. So in an actual implementation, this data would be shared bidirectionally between Epicor's, whatever Epicor product you have in HubSpot. I have all the different bids. Remember, in our example, we said there are 3 general contractors bidding: Gilbane, Whiting, Turner, and Clark. And here is the status of their bids in that pipeline and our likely to win indicator. This could be manually toggled. It could also be automated. We could create formulas based upon the win rates of each subcontractor and roll that up into a bid likely score, and then put it into a likely to win column. Okay. In addition, we have the ability to add our subcontractors here and any actual orders against this project. So just in one spot here, you'll see we've got all the different components. Okay. Now this took us a good bit of time to configure, but interestingly enough, 100% of what I'm showing you in this example was done no code. Nobody had to lift a finger and type a line of code to do what I'm showing you. Okay. There's a lot that you can do in order to add additional value to HubSpot through coding and custom development. But I always emphasize with clients that the word customization, that formula, is made possible by 2 approaches. One is configuring, which is what I mean for no code. I'm not a developer, but I can do what you're seeing here. And coding or actual custom development. Both of those tools are in our toolbox. Okay. And in a follow-up question, it was a great question. Thank you, David. The question was related to exactly what we're talking about here. How much customization needs to be done by our personnel versus your personnel? The answer is, if we take that and we slice it into 2 categories, okay, one being configuring, without coding, and the other being configuring, or adding additional capability with code. Everything I'm showing you here, any trained expert in HubSpot could do. The key is they have to be a trained expert in HubSpot. Okay. We offer training. We train people how to be HubSpot administrators. Okay. Just like your Salesforce, your Microsoft, or your ERP admin, that's not something you learn in a day. That is a career path. Okay. So I would not just hand the keys to someone to customize your platform after, a week after they took the training. Okay. But what we try to do is set things up so that the client can maintain the platform and be able to continue updating the configuration as their business needs change without having to come back to us. So it's a bit of a 2-sided question. Technically speaking, a trained non-developer can do what I'm showing you here, okay? But the more important thing is you need to understand databases. You need to understand business logic. You need to understand how HubSpot thinks and works. You need to have a little bit of a solution architect mind. You need to have that experience. If you have that experience, you can do what we're talking about here. So we took a very complex scenario. Okay. Remember, this whole thing, 1 customer, 2 sites, multiple general contractors, lots of subs. bids, different bid statuses. And we were able to model it effectively inside HubSpot using both what we call standard objects and custom objects. And you can see here that we've got data coming from their Epicor ERP. We've got, in addition, things I'm not even talking about here, like project owners. A lot of time in these kinds of industries, it's important to know who owns the site versus who is the tenant versus who is the developer. You could replace this with anything. Later today, we're having a conversation with a company that is in the hospitality industry, and we are planning to configure and customize a HubSpot platform specifically for their properties. They have multiple properties, specifically for different kinds of customers, different kinds of purchases, individual versus group reservations, packages versus non-packaged offerings. You can see the idea. So a homework item for everyone here, whether it's HubSpot or anything else, the first thing you should do is start mapping out your business processes and then organize a single one-sheeter on how they all fit together. I'll actually give you a very simple example of where we did that for this prospective client. Okay. So in this example that I'm showing you, the client has an ERP system, a business intelligence platform that's typically products like Power BI or Tableau. And then they have all the things they need to be done in the HubSpot environment, all of their front end. I've got back end, front end here. Okay. So to fill that in with the actual tools that we're going to use, in this particular case, we were going to connect Epicor with HubSpot through these middleware tools. Same with Power BI. Use HubSpot. And then there are also extension products that are part of the HubSpot ecosystem. So if we have a complex proposal process, there are different tools we can use for that. We have a plugin for project management. We have a plugin for file management if you do complex document management. So I call these extension products. They are tools that take the power of HubSpot to the next level, but they all live within inside HubSpot. These are HubSpot ecosystem solutions. So you can see here, we're really dominating successfully the front end of a client's business with a true total solution. Okay. With that in mind, let me also talk about the things you can do that go beyond configuring for your use case. The most common scenario is we want to connect HubSpot with our blah, 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 okay, with other products. So HubSpot allows you to take two fundamental approaches there. One is syncing, the other is integrating. I use those terms as distinct terms. Not everybody does. Here's what I mean by that. Synchronizing is moving a piece of data from one system directly to the other with no intermediary checks. Okay. I add a contact in my QuickBooks or in my accounting software, that contact gets added to HubSpot directly. Nothing happening in between other than to shoot the data from one to the other. That's synchronization, right? It's to make sure the data matches. Integration is a much wider path that typically involves a tool which we call middleware. Many of you have probably worked with middleware products. Some of you, that might be a new concept. Middleware is a piece of software that sits between two enterprise applications, and it serves as a traffic manager. It checks to make sure the data coming from one meets the necessary rules to properly place it in the other. It may even redirect data. If an order comes in from the ERP system, depending on data specific to that order, the middleware tool may redirect or say, this information goes here, this information goes there. So it's a decision tool. It also can be used for data quality control to ensure that everything is accurate, precise, and properly filled out between two different pieces of software or more. Okay, so that's integration. At Wendt Partners, we do both. We help clients with synchronization. We help them with integration. Now, in addition, HubSpot has developed what I consider the industry's most flexible CRM development toolkit. And this is where we start to go beyond customization, beyond integration, into truly basically designing and building your unique solution in the HubSpot platform. And so we can do all kinds of things here to create what we call UI extensions or user interface extensions. And I'm just going to scroll through and give some examples here. So we can, here, let me actually pull up a different spot. I just want to show you some visuals. Here we go. So there are different components that we can create and put inside the screens of the HubSpot software. Okay. Some of them include things such as accordion views, alerts, buttons. Okay. Those can be buttons to perform actions or update data or take information from one place, calculate it, and place it in another location. Okay. Rows of buttons, lists and descriptions, drop downs. I mean, these are the tools by which we can build software. HubSpot is already extraordinarily robust, but if we want to do our own custom process inside HubSpot, for example, let me just give an example. Let's say that we run an event management business and we are working on a project that involves producing a 2-day music festival. And one of the things we need to be able to do is when a client signs off on a contract with us using HubSpot, using our HubSpot quoting tool, I want to automatically be able to hit a button and send the notification to each of the contractors who's going to be providing the different services on that event. That could be a custom function in HubSpot, as an example. Forms. We can put custom forms anywhere in HubSpot that we want. We can put checkboxes, date inputs. So, as you can see, if you've been following the scrolling, there's an enormous amount here. We have data components. We have action components. So we can build your tool in HubSpot. Okay. So to kind of walk through the flow of all of this, let's go back to where we started. I said at the beginning, HubSpot started as a product, started as a marketing product. Over time, it has now evolved into a platform. I use the term platform to mean a single database application that solves multiple business needs that are connected to each other around one core element of your business. In this case, front office, everything customer facing. So it's a platform. Because it's a platform, we can now also configure it to your specific use case, as we did in the industrial example, okay? And we can customize it and to literally build new functionality, as some of the examples that I've given, inside HubSpot, using these custom objects and custom capabilities, and then adding additional functions, okay? So that's sort of the progression of the journey. Now, some of these things I'm talking about are light years beyond where a lot of customers need to be. So my message is not designed to say, this is all stuff that every client has to do. Not at all. But it's important when you select a platform for your business to know that that platform can grow, adjust, configure, and evolve with your business. Okay. So going back to the whole question of like, all right, so if I were selecting HubSpot, if I were considering HubSpot against other solutions, what is the message of this web event telling me in regard to why HubSpot? Okay. And my answers are, number one, it's a platform approach. Number two, it's actually really a platform approach, by which I mean, this is not just marketing. This is reality. Okay. I'm a marketer. I love marketing, but we all know sometimes marketing is telling the truth, sometimes not so much. Just because there's a logo on something and a logo on something else doesn't mean it's the same thing. With HubSpot, we can absolutely assure you that this is one platform, one piece of software developed by one company, by one team. I often compare it to the difference between, and I'm going to get in trouble with my Android loving friends, between iOS and Android. Okay. With Android, you can put anything you want in that environment, whether it works or not. I know friends whose phones have gotten locked because they downloaded applications that had bugs or backdoors or other problems. Okay. In the iOS world, you have a quality control. It's a walled garden. Okay. But you know that everything that's in that environment is quality checked, is validated, verified, and it's not going to kill your phone. That's the HubSpot approach. Okay. We're not just acquiring people's stuff and throwing a label on it and pretending it all works. It actually does. So it's a real platform solution. It scales all the way from small business to enterprise. Okay. I've focused in this session a lot, overwhelmingly, on the enterprise end of that equation. But if I were starting a new business today with just me and a couple of team members, or even just a solo business, If I start with HubSpot, I know that as my business grows, I can stay with HubSpot. I don't have to turn around and change it 3 years down the road because I've reached the end of what it can do for me. Okay. Conversely, if you're in a larger enterprise, I want you to understand that HubSpot can be as simple as a tool that a small business would love to use. And remember, I don't care if you're in a 100,000 employee company or one employee company, you want software that's easy to use. The software is easy to use. It's clean. The screens are consistent. Okay. Once you learn how HubSpot works and the fundamentals, you're going to be able to apply that knowledge screen after screen, function after function, view after view. It works the same way across the board. Okay. So it's easy to use, but it can also handle the most complex enterprise requirements. So whether it's just going to sit alone and maybe connect to your website, or whether you want to look at how HubSpot can integrate across your entire enterprise, HubSpot can do it. So that is the argument for why HubSpot. And I want to just go back and emphasize that if you wanted to start with just one area, we often recommend that to clients. We say, look, start with Marketing Hub, start with Sales Hub, start with Service Hub, start with a hub. Let's master that part of your business. And then if you're having a good experience and you're starting to see the magic of how HubSpot works, you can always then layer in another division, layer in another function, expand. There's that word again, your use case. Expand your use case, right? Expand it across your business. Ultimately, the true value of HubSpot becomes exponentially impactful the more of the functionality that you use. And I can speak to that as a real customer. We've been a HubSpot partner for 12 years. HubSpot's only been around for 15. So we were pretty early in on this. When we started, we used marketing. We had Salesforce as our CRM, WordPress for our website. Okay, you see where I'm going? Over time, we've replaced those tools and brought that functionality into HubSpot. Most recently, a year and a half ago, we brought our website into HubSpot. We've never looked back. And by the way, I can honestly tell you, just because we're a partner, we don't get any magical discounts. A lot of people think, oh, you're a partner, you must get it for free. No, I pay the same bill the customers pay. In fact, usually my bill is higher. So I think that's important because it keeps us honest. I have to pay for this software as everybody else does. Is it bringing me value? Is it worth it for me to use? Because I'm not going to keep using it if it's not. I can tell you, you could ask our marketing team the power of having marketing and sales in one environment. You could ask our service team. You could ask our web folks, what's it like having a website that runs in the same tool as your CRM? And you're going to get a very consistent answer, which is it's pretty revolutionary. And in fact, the real holdup is us understanding how to rethink our business to take advantage of that. Because how are our companies organized? They're typically organized into these silos. You got to break down those silos to get the value out of the solution. But I'm telling you, having a vision for the whole front office of your company running on one platform, this is the future. The customer journey is the future. That's how we're going to differentiate our companies. Okay. It's not going to be, it can't be on price. It certainly can't be on price. It probably can't be just on product alone because the pace of innovation today is extraordinary. Before you even gone to sleep on the night after your big product launch, guess what? You get a text saying your competitor's releasing something similar 2 days later. So if those areas are going to be harder and harder to win on, where are you going to win your next round of customers, whether you're a service company or you're a product company? It's going to be on the customer experience. And that's what HubSpot is all about. So with that, let me pause. We've got time for some questions. Okay. So we have a question about back office integrations. Can the platform be integrated with Excel or Google Sheets to form a dashboard? And if so, when data is entered into the sheets, will it automatically be updated in HubSpot and vice versa? Yes. So I'm actually going to show you something that I'm just going to pop up a different browser session for this. But I want to show you, point you in the direction of where you'll see these tools. Okay, so let me pop over to a different part of the HubSpot website. So let me summarize the question. And by the way, please bookmark this or make a note. It's ecosystem.hubspot wentpartners.com. And if you go to our app marketplace, there are 1,521 products in our app marketplace. Think of this as like iPhone. Remember iPhone, Android? Okay. In this environment, all these products meet minimum standards to be in here. In addition, some of them have gone through the added optional step of being formally certified by HubSpot. Okay. So you will see that there are Excel integration tools in here. And and by the way, it doesn't have to be, it could be Excel, it could be Google Sheets, it could be Power BI. We have connectors to virtually any kind of environment or third-party spreadsheet or database that you want. There are also tools that allow you in HubSpot to update pivot tables and send that data to HubSpot. So regardless of the use case, yes. Okay. Just keep in mind that it's always important to understand how quickly data gets messed up. I'll give you a quick example. 3 years ago now, we had a client who grabbed one of the connectors here, which worked flawlessly, and they connected HubSpot to their accounting software. And they turned on a bi-directional sync for company records. How complicated could that be? Company is company, right? No. In their accounting software, each location that they shipped to was technically a company record. And so they were a wholesale distributor. They sell to this company, and that, let's say they sell to, Best Buy, and Best Buy has 1,500 store locations. The company record HubSpot needs is just the mothership. All of those others are just shipping addresses. But because they hadn't mapped out their business processes and they didn't understand how data works in their own company, in their own accounting software, when they turned that sync on, all those 1,500 Best Buy locations showed up in HubSpot as company records, and then HubSpot dutifully sent them back, thus creating double duplication in their ERP. That wasn't HubSpot's fault. The connector worked exactly as designed. Remember, anytime you connect one system to another, that's the easy part. The hard part is making sure the data manages and properly configures the way you want. But absolutely, that's a great question. The answer is 100% yes. I'll go ahead and take another question here. So we have another one that just popped up, and the question is, do I need to plan everything out myself before talking with Wendt Partners about, utilizing HubSpot? And the answer is no. Okay. We actually offer clients the option of a service in which we'll come in and we'll assess your business process and your business environment, and we'll map it out for you, obviously in conjunction with you, before you start an implementation. So we want to help you get to know your business as much as we want to help you be successful with our software. So I know we're at 1 o'clock. I always promise we are door-to-door accurate on those times. You've gone through incredible effort to make an hour available in your day for this session. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. There's been a lot of fun. The questions have been outstanding. We do these web events every single month, and we're constantly producing additional content, infographics, ebooks, blog articles, and guides. So please reach out to me or any member of our team. My email address, by the way, is doug@wentpartners.com. Not hard to remember. Drop me an email, any questions you have. I'll make sure to get it answered for you. We hope you've learned as much in this session as we've enjoyed sharing it with you. Thanks, everyone, and have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye, everybody.